Nanaimo, the harbor city, a city known today for its coastal beauty, small-town atmosphere, and Nanaimo bars. In the mid-19th century, coal was discovered, and Nanaimo became a major hub for coal production in the country, as well as the home of the second worst industrial accident in Canadian history. The coal industry provided the most important energy source to fuel expanding rail and steamship networks, the production of steel, heating homes in Canada's rapidly growing cities, and later the production of electricity. Coal was discovered in Nanaimo in 1850, when Nanaimo Chief Chiwichikan, commonly known as Coal Tyee, brought samples of coal to Victoria. While open to selling coal, the Nanaimo wished to retain control and the exclusive rights to mine it. They retained their rights to the resource for a while, but gradually lost them due to other tribes and miners from the failed Port Rupert project. By 1852, the first shipment of coal was loaded onto the schooner Cadborough. 24 coal miners and their families arrived from England to the community of Colville Town, and the town became more firmly established. Not named after the coal discovery as the name implies, but after Andrew Colville, a former governor of the Hudson Bay Company. It was renamed Nanaimo in 1860, and by 1874 had 1,000 residents. The HBC coal mining operation eventually evolved into a separate organization called the Nanaimo Coal Company, and in 1862 the operation was sold to the Vancouver Coal Mining and Land Company. In 1869, an independent miner named Robert Dunsmuir discovered the Wellington Seam near Diver Lake. Dunsmuir formed Dunsmuir Diggle and Company and developed the very profitable Wellington Colliery, which was soon a worthy rival to the Vancouver Coal Mining and Land Company. Dunsmuir's company continued to grow and expand, and in 1883 he bought out his first partner, Lieutenant Wadham Neston Diggle, for $600,000, leaving only Robert and his two sons, James and Alexander, as controlling partners, renaming the company R. Dunsmuir and Sons. With his economic and political influence, Robert Dunsmuir was able to secure the contract to build a railway between Nanaimo and Victoria in exchange for a $750,000 subsidy, plus a huge land grant which comprised approximately 1/5 of Vancouver Island. Dunsmuir and Sons continued to grow, with operations expanding to Extension, Ladysmith, Cumberland, and Union Bay. Robert died in 1889 as the wealthiest man in British Columbia. His son James, having been responsible for running the business, sold the Esquimalt-Nanaimo Railway to the CPR in 1905, and in 1910 sold the coal mining interest to Canadian Collieries Limited. Dozens of mines dotted the landscape in Nanaimo, most prominently the No. 1 Esplanade coal mine, which stretched out deep under the Nanaimo harbor, its tunnels reaching all the way to Protection Island. On May 3, 1887, with 156 men working underground, 2 explosions in quick succession ripped through the city's largest No. 1 Esplanade mine. The first thump, a massive explosion 260 meters below sea level, was a result of a poorly placed charge that ignited a pocket of coal bed gas released from a previous charge just minutes before. The second blast was coal dust igniting on other slopes as the explosion rocketed through the underground shafts for almost a kilometer, swallowing coal dust as it went, and the pressure blew burning timbers and rock out adjacent hoisting and venting shafts above ground and continued to burn underground for 2 weeks. Those on the surface saw rock and burning timbers blown out the mine shafts, and at 5:55 p.m., the eerie wail of the mine steam whistle echoed through the community, sounding the alert to families just sitting down to dinner. While the initial explosion caused the immediate and sudden death for many workers, many survivors hunkered down waiting for rescue. Only 7 men who had been in the mine's engine room were able to walk out alive. The air quality was so poor that one of the would-be rescuers succumbed and perished while searching for bodies. Further attempts at rescue were halted in fear of further explosions. As the air grew thin, Some men penned final farewell messages to their loved ones, knowing the end was near. The trapped miners were dying a slow death, and after several hours succumbed to lethal carbon monoxide poisoning. This tragic accident took the lives of 150 miners, a massive loss to a community of approximately 2,000 people at the time. This was considered the worst industrial accident in Canadian history, surpassed in 1914 after the Hillcrest, Alberta mine blast that killed 189 workers. Due to the amount of damage caused by the explosions, the last of the bodies could not be recovered until July, and unfortunately 7 men were never recovered and remain somewhere beneath the Nanaimo harbor to this day. The names of the miners killed have been memorialized, except for the 53 who were of Chinese origin. The practice of the day was to assign payroll numbers to the Chinese miners rather than their names. Consequently, the names of the miners are unknown, although the majority were members of the Ma clan from the Guangzhou province in China. The number 1 mine reopened shortly after and went on to produce 18 million tons of coal in its 55-year history before permanently closing in 1938. Coal continued to be mined in the local area, especially south of Nanaimo, until the Bright Mine closed in 1953, marking the end of 100 years of coal mining in the city. During its years of operation, over 600 deaths and 1,800 accidents have been associated to the mining of coal, which has led to Nanaimo playing a key role in the development of new workplace safety laws in Canada. The event is commemorated by a small memorial near the corner of Milton and Esplanade Streets, erected by the South End Community Association and recently refurbished with the support from the Nanaimo Historical Society.